Hey y'all, it's Sarah. I have a Easter, spring, whatever you want to kind of consider it, craft for you guys today. This one's one I'm just doing for myself. It's a recycle craft, but you can still do it if you don't have what I'm using. You can use Dollar Tree items. Really quick, I want to show you what all I'm using and what we're going to make. So I got the small version of these little bunnies. If you haven't seen what I did with the bigger version, there's a video for that. But these are the little bitty guys. They're probably maybe 2 or 3 inches. We're going to be using one of these. I've got just a Cricut cutout here that I'm going to be using, but I did want to show you that Dollar Tree has a kind of similar long skinny font that you could use if you don't have a cutting machine. I used the font The Skinny. I'm also going to be using some of the gloss Mod Podge. I am recycling a candle jar. This is a pretty good size one. Let's just see real quick what size this jar is. This one is about a 6-inch jar, so that's what I'm using. It's recycled. All the wax has been cleaned out. I'm also going to be using some pink spray paint, but you could probably do this with just your chalk paint if you wanted to. I used the pink spray paint in, I want to say pink candy, maybe. Something with candy in it. It's the Rust-Oleum 2X. I used it in gloss so that I could have a shiny looking canister, but whatever way you want to go. Couple other things. I've got just a real fine fingernail file here, and I've got some buffalo check ribbon that I'm going to be using, but those things are just kind of on a personal level. I just wanted to give you the idea of doing this and recycling. If you had some of these candle style jars, Dollar Tree sells a lot of different styles of jars, so you could do this with pretty much any of them. So the first thing I'm going to do is with this little bunny. If you can see that, it's got a lot of flashing here in the styrofoam where it was manufactured, the seams and all that. I've got just this nail file that I keep in my craft space. It's a pretty fine one. You don't want a heavy one because it will shred your styrofoam. And I've just gone in with my bunny, sanded off all the little seams and the flashing, and hopefully I don't make that too blurry, and got it really, really smooth. I even went along the sides here a little bit, and where the little creases are in the styrofoam, I kind of smoothed a little of those out. You're still going to see some of that, but when you see the end result, it's really still a pretty cute look. So the next thing I'm going to do is grab some kind of stick to stick your bunny on. Well, first let me show you. I'm going to take just my Dollar Tree fine-sided sanding block, and just to make sure this bottom is really smooth so it sits flat, I'm just going to run it across there, just on the bottom, really nice and flat. That way you get like a really flat surface there. Now I'm going to shove this little skewer stick in there so that I can paint it easily. And I ended up doing a couple of coats, and I'm going to tell you why. We're going to coat this thing, first of all, with Mod Podge. The reason we're doing that is, most of you know, and I've discussed it before, spray paint and any kind of styrofoam, foam, any of that usually has a chemical reaction, and your foam will shrivel up on you and have, it kind of melts. I'm not sure of a better way to describe that, but it pretty much makes your foam melt. So we are going to seal this styrofoam off first using just the clear Mod Podge coat. And the way I did that is I actually squirted it straight on my little bunny so that I could get some pretty heavy coats on there. And honestly, it really didn't take very long for this to dry. I made sure I got everywhere, top and bottom, even where the stick is at. All of that, because the minute any spray paint hits that, you're liable to have it melt. So I did a couple coats of this. I did several bunnies at once. Went ahead and got them sealed off. And that allowed it to be protected from the spray paint when I get ready to go in and spray paint this. But if you're chalk painting, if you're going to chalk paint your entire project, you really don't have to do that. The chalk paint's not going to react to this little styrofoam bunny the way spray paint is. But I went the spray paint route because I wanted a glossy shine. You do it with whatever products you have on hand. I'm just here to give you ideas of how to use some of these things that we all like to buy. So I'm just going to put this guy to the side and let him dry. I actually have one ready and shiny and completely dry, and you can kind of see the difference there. Now it looks like a little ceramic bunny. So this is a really good way to do these if you just want little ceramic looking bunnies for tier trays. I went in with white chalk paint first and then went back over on the ones that I wanted to look like ceramic. But honestly, you can see in comparison, you really don't have to do that. Since the styrofoam is white, it covers pretty good. So now that I've got that done, I'm going to pull him off his stick, look at my jar, and I'm going to try to make sure I get this little bunny centered on my jar. So in order to do that, I'm just hot gluing this guy on here. I don't necessarily know that I'm going to recommend E6000 to you, and here is why. This is mainly just for looks. For me, a lot of my projects are simply for looks. There's no real use for them. But E6000 is going to have the same issue as you likely would with the other chemicals. It can make styrofoam melt. So I've got the hot glue. Got my little bunny stuck on my jar so far. My next step now is going to go ahead and do a couple of light coats of spray paint. I'm going to double check while I'm doing it and get the name of the pink that I use. But I want to show you what our end result is going to be, what I'm working towards. Just this little guy right here, you can see. I love this Ray Dunn look. I cannot afford Ray Dunn, but I can do the font on the Cricut. So this is my option. I'm going to go ahead and get this spray painted. I really had thought that I was going to do it in an aqua color, but I kind of fell in love with the pink when I did it. So I'm going to go do the second one, maybe in pink, but I'll be sure to get that color name for you, and I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, here is my final results. I grabbed the can, brought it in to show you. I was pretty close. It was candy pink. I have my little vinyl cut out here that I'm going to try to apply. My jar is still a little tacky because here I am being completely impatient. So we're going to hope for the best and see how this goes. And I'm going to try to get it applied. This part is pretty straightforward. If you choose to do those, I would probably wait until it is definitely completely dry, since you have to kind of touch it for every individual letter. I just do not have the patience, and I kind of want to start on something else. So cross your fingers for me. Let's see what this does. I did trim down all the excess on this because this is spray painted glass, and it's certainly not cured. The likelihood of me pulling some of the paint up is a little more risky. So I trimmed kind of the excess there of my transfer paper. And I'm holding my breath here. Y'all can hold yours with me. So I'm going to gently and lightly push those down and see how this goes. If it does not work out, I still have my other one, and you guys know not to get too impatient. So here we go. Let me move this can out of my way. Oh, it looks like we might be doing pretty good. I added a ribbon to the other one. I may not add the ribbon to this one, just to have them slightly different from one another. Although I say that, I do tend to change my mind after it's all said and done and I get things put in their place. Oh, looky there, it worked out just wonderful. So the next step would be, you know, dressing it up with some kind of ribbon, or not dressing it up with some kind of ribbon. If you can kind of see, I like it with the ribbon and I like it without. that was all I really had to show you. I kind of wanted to show you this as a recycle project, as a way to use these little bunny friends. These are so much smaller that I feel like they can be a little more difficult to use if you try to cover them with moss, or if you wanted to try to do them with something like that. They kind of lose their shape being this much smaller, but I love how this turned out. I love the results of this. And I have more candle jars. I still may come back and do an aqua one for myself, but this is it. This is the whole craft. I hope it gave you some ideas to get in and recycle, not just a candle jar, but household jars that you save out of the kitchen. I tend to sneak them under my sink, so I have them for later. And that's it, guys. I hope you get a chance to do a little crafting. I hope you stay warm, stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, y'all.